Greetings, Barcadians! Thank you for joining us for our 10 o'clock news bulletin, bringing you our key takeaways from E3 2019 so far. But first, a word from our sponsors. Oh wait, we don't actually have any sponsors. Roll the titles. So first up, we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the jewel in the crown of the predictably drab EA conference. It certainly looks the part, and has the spit and polish a Star Wars games deserves. It also resembles a Star Wars game in the style of Uncharted, which is perhaps because it was salvaged from the wreckage of the canned Star Wars game former Naughty Dog employee Amy Hennig was working on. In other news, the worst kept secret in the gaming industry, the collaboration between From Software and George R.R. Martin, has resulted in a brand new fantasy RPG, Elden Ring. Let's hope Martin has written an ending to it though. Next up, following the acquisition of talented development studio Double Fine, Microsoft showed off a new trailer for Psychonauts 2, a creative third-person platformer with bundles of charm. Hopefully Double Fine keep their identity under Microsoft, but get to double down on making great games. A new glimpse of Gears of War 5 was provided at the Microsoft conference, which included glorious textured blood, guts and gore as you'd expect, but with the promise of a number of gameplay tweaks to give the series a fresh new take on the formula. Much needed, I suppose. Microsoft also showed off an apparent next-gen reboot of their Halo series with Halo Infinite, which appears to be an open-world reimagining of the classic franchise, complete with a newly resurrected Master Chief as shown in the trailer. Let's hope Nintendo borrow part of that showreel and give him new life in the Smash Bros series. Now let's get a word with our roving reporter on the ground, Tabz Fantana, who is currently roving somewhere around his house.
1001, 1002, 1003. Excuse me. Yes, I did steal that joke from Anchorman, and yes, I am currently roving around my home gym. But Richard, I can tell you that I was absolutely blown away by the appearance of Keanu Reeves on the stage at Microsoft's conference, announced to be featuring the gamer's character Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077. Talk about using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Cyberpunk was surely destined to sell millions of copies without his help, but now the game is essentially sponsored by the world's favourite man. It's a nailed-on, platinum-selling success story. And I'll be first in line to worship Keanu's breathtaking digital doppelganger. Back to you, Richard. Back to the guns. 1004, 1005, 1006.
Thanks, Tabz. What a little tyke that one is. And where will he be roaming next? Stay tuned for more rooms from Tabz's house. Next up, are Obsidian set to teach Bethesda how to really make a Fallout game? Well, we're set to find out on October the 25th when The Outer Worlds launches. A comical riff on post-apocalyptic sci-fi dystopias from the makers of the acclaimed Fallout New Vegas. And penultimately, to tickle the nostalgic hairs on the back of mine and Tabz's neck, we have the free-to-play, massively multiplayer online role-playing game, Phantasy Star Online 2. It is finally being brought to the West and is slated for a release in 2020. Seemingly a European release has been overlooked though. Brace yourself for a joyously endless grind and tempting microtransactions. And finally, we can't not end on the reveal of Project Scarlet, or what is essentially the Xbox 2. Phil Spencer opened, who is clearly vying to become PM for the Ministry of the Blooming Obvious, by pointing out that a good games console also needs to be able to play good games. But we did actually find out quite a bit about the technology inside. Again, over to our roving reporter Tabz Fantana for more details.
Peacock's foot? Pardon me, I'm just catching up on a bit of light reading. Thanks, Richard. So first of all, we have the expected comparisons with Sony's recently announced next-gen PlayStation, which also promises breakthrough improvements to loading speeds. Microsoft say their SSD is 40 times better than current gen, and said that they're essentially using the SSD as virtual RAM because of this improvement, which will in turn enable them to achieve resolutions of up to 8K and frame rates of up to 120 frames per second. But perhaps most interestingly, it was confirmed that the ray tracing solution on Scarlet is actually hardware accelerated and not a watered down software solution as was feared for next generation consoles. Overall, Scarlet is apparently 4 times as powerful as the Xbox One X, which seems to be a fast and loose approximation to me, given that in terms of teraflop performance, that will put it at somewhere near 24 teraflops, which is more than double what an RTX 2080 can muster. If that's true, then I think we'll be remortgaging the binary towers before we get our sweaty palms on sexy Scarlet. Back to you, Richard, and back to my reading.
Thank you, Tabz, I think. But anyway, yes, Microsoft also announced their answer to Stadia's streaming platform in the form of Project xCloud, which they will be demoing this week on the show floor. Boasting a library of over 3,500 games ready to go on the platform, take that one in the eye, Google. We'll have to wait for further reports to see how the service holds up. And that's about it for today. Join us again tomorrow for more E3 headlines. So from Tabz Fantana and me, Richard Burgundy, you stay gaming, Barcadians. Stamped and completed.